Okay, I want to thank everybody for their patience and understanding here this afternoon, here at Daytona. At this time, we have track president Joey Chitwood. And also from NASCAR, Senior Vice President for Racing Operations, Steve O'Donnell, that will update you on today's events. First, we'll hear from Joey and then from Steve. And we still have a lot of things going on tonight, okay? And I hope you all understand that and take that into consideration. We'll take a handful of questions. We appreciate your cooperation, again, your patience and your assistance. At this time, I'll call on President of Daytona International Speedway, Joey Chitwood. Joey.
Thanks, Kerry. First and foremost, our thoughts and prayers are with our race fans. Following the incident, we responded appropriately according to our safety protocols and had emergency medical personnel at the incident immediately. We transported 14 people off property and treated 14 people at our on-track care center. We're in the process of repairing this facility and we'll be ready to go racing tomorrow.
Yeah, on behalf of NASCAR, I certainly want to echo Joey's statements about the fans that were injured here today. Our thoughts are certainly with them and their families. As far as our drivers are concerned, all that were involved in the last lap accident have been treated and released from the infield care center. We did have one driver that was transported earlier during the race, Michael and Annette. He has been treated and he will be at the hospital and is remaining there. Joey talked about the track, and the track's currently underway repairing the fencing. We're very confident that we'll be ready for tomorrow's event with the 55th running of the Daytona 500. But, as with any of these incidents, we'll conduct a thorough review. We'll work closely with the tracks as we do for all of our events, learn what we can, and see what we can apply in the future.
Thank you, Steve. Thank you, Joey. Listen, we'll take a handful of questions, and we're going to start back there with George Diaz.
Yeah, for either Joey or Steve, George Diaz, Orlando Sentinel. Do you have any idea in terms of the seriousness of the injuries involving the fans who were hurt?
George, I'd have to refer you to Halifax for any conditions of the patients. It's not appropriate for me to comment on that.
Bob Pockrass, I think you had a question.
Bob Pockrass, Sporting News. What sections of stands were most of the people injured, and do you know what they were hit with?
At this point, as we responded to the incident, we transported immediately those patients that needed critical assistance. We'll review ourselves in terms of where the debris flew and what we need to do with that, but it was the grandstands immediately outside of the fence where the car hit.
Nate Ryan.
Nate Ryan, USA Today Sports. Besides replacing that section of fence and taking it all down, are you going to make any other changes for the race tomorrow as regards to safety?
At this point, after every event, we review our property, both from an asphalt perspective and a fencing perspective. And so we did that after the duels, after our truck race. We'll do the same thing to make sure that we're ready for tomorrow. As a property that's been here for over 55 years, we make sure we make the right investments in our property. The only change that will occur with the fencing that goes back, we will not have time to put the crossover gate that was there. So it will be strict fencing for tomorrow.
Take a couple more. Jenna.
AP, Steve, Joey just mentioned the crossover gate, and I assume that was the point of impact. It seems that the most serious incidents involving fences are when the crossover gate is involved. Is there something that NASCAR can do going forward, or studies or anything that can be looked at to prevent this?
I think we look at this after every incident. We've certainly learned from those in the past. Some of the protocols that have been put in place today are as a result of prior incidents. So again, our initial evaluation is still ongoing, but it's certainly something that we'll look at. If we can improve upon it, we'll absolutely put that in play as soon as we can.
Let's go with Alan right here, and then maybe a couple more after that. Alan?
Alan Cavano, NASCAR.com. Will fans be seated in those sections tomorrow? Do you anticipate having to move anything around in terms of fans?
No, we don't anticipate moving any of our fans. We had our safety protocols in place. Our security maintained a buffer that separates the fans from the fencing area. And with the fence being prepared tonight to our safety protocols, we expect to go racing tomorrow with no changes.
We'll go to Claire, and then we'll take one more. Go ahead, Claire. Right here, please. Claire B.
Claire B. Lang, Sirius XM NASCAR Radio. Joey, there was some talk that the news conference you had earlier in the week about the changes to Daytona, that if it was changed, the layout of the track, as you were laying it out in the news conference earlier, that this would probably not have happened. Can you address that?
I'm not sure, Claire, that it's fair to compare an incident that occurred today with potentially the future development of the property. The key was that we were prepared, we responded, we had the appropriate personnel in place, we were able to transport the individuals that needed the care off property. We dealt with the other patients on property, and the team right now is repairing and will be ready for tomorrow. I don't think it's fair to compare those two right now.
We'll go Mike Massaro, and we'll finish back in the back with Pat.
This question's for Steve. Over here, Steve. It's rare that you see a car break apart the way that car did. How concerned are you with the way the car did break, and what are your initial thoughts on that?
I think, again, Mike, really early in what we've seen. You know, some of the things we have in place, you know, tethers, that sort of thing, held up, did their job. But certainly when you look at this incident, there are some things we can learn and evaluate. We'll take the car, we'll do that. We'll evaluate the fencing and see if there's anything we can learn from where gates are. But again, really initial right now, and I think, you know, we need to take the time to really study it and see what we can improve on. And if we can, you know, certainly, you know, the safety of our fans is first and foremost, and we'll make that happen.
Final question back here, Pat. Get him a mic, please.
Pat Rice, Daytona Beach News Journal. Joey, could you go over one more time where people were transported? Because our understanding is that they were transported to Halifax as well as other hospitals.
All I can report this time, Pat, is that 14 were transported off property. At that point, emergency management make the decision on where they go. So for us, we know that 14 were transported off property, with 14 being seen on property.
Thank you very much. Again, we thank you all for your patience and understanding. We will provide updates as we get them. We just wanted to give you what we had at this current time. Thank you very much.